Hi everyone and welcome back to Cambodia Designs. So this week I want to share something that I made back in October. I actually put together a video for you, but it was really short. Then I tried to do another video and it was really long. So I'm doing a different intro and kind of combining the two to show you what it is that I created. In my last video I told you about my Traveltober series, which I have started working on. I created 12 prompts for the month of October, based it off of Inktober challenge, if you know what it is. If you don't, I've got videos where I talk about this, and I definitely talk about this in that previous video, but basically it's just a monthly challenge to practice using inks. And so I call mine Traveltober because I love travel, I'm passionate about it, and I almost always paint something travel related. Lately at least it's been my highest focus. After creating the paintings, I created illustrated zine, which is just a magazine kind of booklet. So I made a travel zine, which is just like my last zine. It's like a glossy type of paper. It's a soft, smooth paper on the inside, and it includes all the images that I painted. So I'm gonna flip through this and show you what's what. This is available in my shop right now if you want to order one. I don't make them myself. I have them printed off site and then sent to me, so the delays maybe like a weekish or so, but I really love how they turned out. I've got a few orders for them already out, so if you're one of the people who ordered this, thank you so much. It means the world that you're supporting this project. I had a ton of fun making this, and during this video I'm gonna have footage somewhere on the screen of me painting one of these images. I'm pretty sure this is the only one that I painted like a full painting of, that I have like the entire footage. The rest of them, pretty much always I painted very late at night after my kids went to bed. A few of them I made during Instagram live streams, which I didn't save. Now in retrospect I wish I had, because I could have just reused that footage. But what I'll do is whatever footage I do have, I'll put up on the screen, and it might be streaming like photos or something. I'll try to figure out a way to combine some of this so you can see a little bit more. But I'm gonna switch you over to the overhead camera, and then I'll flip through this and I'll tell you a little bit about each painting and where my inspiration came from for it. And if you enjoy this video, I would love to make more of these. I am going to attempt this year to do the mermaid challenge again. 12 days of mermaids, which Emily Harvey Art puts on her Patreon, and every year I try to do it, and every year I do 1 or 2 mermaids. We'll talk about this again, but now that I know that I can handle 12, I always thought I could, but I was freaked out about the mermaid thing. So maybe this time I'll be able to do like my version of it. We'll see what happens. So anyway, enjoy the video. I'll come back at the end just to say bye, but if you enjoy it, please give it a like, share it with your friends, leave a little comment. All these little bits help me to grow. I am almost at 400 subscribers. I'm hoping one day in the future, that's not too distant, I can come back and look at this when my numbers are much higher. Maybe I'm monetized by then. Maybe I finally have made my small business pay me enough that I don't have to do any other type of work, and I can come back to this video and look at this moment and think, oh gosh darn it, we did it, we worked really hard and we made it happen. So you can help me get there if you subscribe and you like and you comment and you share. All those things help. So come back in a little bit after I've shown you the flip through, and then we'll close out the video. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, I kept this copy for myself because it arrived with just a tiny bit of damage. It got ripped in delivery here inside the envelope, so this one's mine, and I use it for demonstration and just to show how the book turned out. It's very soft. It's like a soft gloss. It's not super shiny, but there's a little shine to it, and it's called If Turquoise Were Sepia. So the idea obviously came from looking at old pictures and having like that sepia tone that old images really have, where it just feels dreamy. And I just had this idea that I'm obsessed with turquoise. As you can see, it's my sweater color, gift from my husband, and I've got turquoise or a variation of turquoise pretty much everywhere in my studio, my pens, this little die thing that I found to decorate my office. So without further ado, this is my second zine. which comes from an October challenge, so maybe it'll become an annual thing. I had this self-published, so I made everything myself, and I used Amazon KDP to print this for myself, and basically I get author copies from there, stock them in my shop, and then I can sell them, but when I run out it just takes a week or so for me to get them from there. I just put a little dedication to my parents because honestly they're the reason why I love travel as much as I do. So the first prompt was passport, and I have kept in here almost exactly what I posted on Instagram. So if you followed along the journey when I was posting these on Instagram, you'll see all of this, or like a cleaned up version of it without all the hashtags and everything, and more, I don't know, more description style than post style, I guess. I didn't edit too much of it, but obviously I love to travel, so just having a passport and putting tickets in there, it's just been like, I mean, I don't know, that's kind of like an obvious traveler's thing, right? If you just travel within the US, you won't really have this. When I first moved here, a lot of people didn't even have passports, and I didn't think it was normal for people not to have passports, but I discovered that it is, and some people don't really travel outside of their own countries, which I find sad. There's so much to see out there, and the US passport, before I became a US citizen, it was way harder to travel with a Congolese passport, and I just thought, you have the opportunity to literally have this for a fraction of the cost that I pay, and it's valid for like 10 years. Why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you use it? So use your passports. Luggage, I kind of shared a little bit of the story here, but my mom had one of these beauty cases, and my older sister as well, and it's kind of like, you know, you open it up and it has like shelves or layers of you could put your jewelry, you could put makeup, whatever. And my mom had a bunch of these that came with like her Samsonite suitcases. She had like a couple of, I think she had like a dark gray, I remember there being like a light gray one, maybe like a deep red or something. And I was obsessed with these. Every time she traveled, I would be like, let me carry this to the car for you. And when she came back, it would be, let me bring this upstairs. And I always looked for ways to open them up and get in her stuff. And so anytime I think of luggage, this childhood memory comes back of me trying to play around with her stuff and her saying, get out of there. So that's where that came from. Next up, I've got hammock. I have never been to an island except for Manhattan Island, obviously, but my dream was always to honeymoon on an island, preferably Tahiti. We never went on our honeymoon. We've been married 12 years now, so I don't know if we'll ever do a honeymoon trip, but I would love to get like a week getaway with my husband to somewhere like this, somewhere dreamy where we could just listen to the ocean, relax. And as far back as I can remember, when I was little and when I was kind of trying to teach myself to draw and paint, I drew so many variations of like this view of looking at the ocean and the palm trees swinging in the breeze. So this isn't really like a memory. This is more of a wish. I wish I could go here. And then I painted this front end of a train. I based this on the French TGV, Train Grande Vitesse. I don't remember what it's called in English, but it's like the bullet train from France. It's not really a bullet train. There's a Japanese bullet train, but the really fast train back then was the fastest one. I just took a little view of it, a couple of photos, and I try to kind of replicate how it somewhat looks. But my oldest memory of being on a train was going from Belgium to Germany. So from Brussels to Berlin in an overnight train with my mom and my little sister Priscilla when she was like a year and a half, maybe 2. We had never been on a train before this. We just moved to Europe from the Congo. Well, I don't remember ever being in a train, I should say, because we lived in France, so when I was much younger, so I might have been on one. But my memory of a train was this one, and just hearing the sound of that, like the train rail mix on the tracks, you know, that chuk 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 chuk. like it does like a repeating pattern sound, and I counted those to try and fall asleep on the top bunk there in that room, tiny little space. I was like, there's no way, how are we gonna fit in here? But it fit, and it was really comfortable, and breakfast was delicious. And then you know, we sat and looked at the landscape outside, and I don't know, I just feel like it takes me back just whenever I think of a train, and I think of travel. Like typically this is what comes to mind. I feel like I need to hurry. This video might be really long, but anyway, Polaroid. Who didn't love Polaroids growing up, right? Everybody wanted one. I still want one. I never had one growing up. I still don't have one. I mean, I'm a grown adult who works now, so maybe I can save up and buy myself one. That might be like a funky one. It might even be turquoise. Oh my gosh. But I just loved the whole vibe, like the whole take a picture and then shake it and the picture and the image appears, or it has, you don't have to shake it, but obviously people did that, like they just had like that motion thing. And I just remember it from like movies and TV shows, and it being like such a cool thing. Like a lot of women did this in movies. I feel like one memory, I can't remember which movie this is from, but it's either from Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, or what's that movie with Madonna, Desperately Seeking Susan, or something else. But I feel like it was either Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places chewing a gum, blowing this huge gum bubble while she was like shaking this picture, like this Polaroid to make the picture come, or it was in something else. But I just have this visual of this girl who just looked super cool with a leather jacket, and I just remember thinking, this is so cool. So this is what I think of when I think of a Polaroid. It's so bizarre, but yeah, that's kind of how my brain works. Then I picked map. I've lost count of what day this was, but an old folded map. This just typical of like Pirates of the Caribbean or something, you know, X marks the spot, like all of those movies that have like old maps, usually parchment type paper, like a brownish color. But I wanted everything to stay in this pale dusty turquoise almost, so it wasn't really like a bright vibrant blue. I really wanted it to feel aged, like to feel vintage. So I really hope I captured, like, this is one of my favorites. Just look at how, let me see if I can make this clearer. I mean, just look at like the faded blue, how it has like the different layers of blue. You'd have to see it in person maybe, but this one was one of my favorites to paint as well. And then this painting, which you will hopefully have seen the time lapse of by the time I get to here, this was really sweet. I did this on a live stream and I was talking to people while it was going on. I can't remember if I did this on Instagram or YouTube. I definitely have something I've done on YouTube, but it might not have been for this collection. It might not have been for this collection. It might be for a different one. But yeah, so I selected countries or cities of places where I've lived. So Kinshasa is where I was born, in the Congo. And after Kinshasa, we might have gone other places, but from what I remember, I lived in Montpellier in the south of France for a few years, I think, while my parents were either in college or finishing like grad school or something. I might be totally lying about that part. I have to ask them. Then we moved back to the Congo, and then my dad got his diplomatic job, which he had most of my life after that. So we were relocated to Berlin. But before Berlin, I went to Brussels at my uncle's. I lived there for about 3 or 4 months in Belgium, and then moved to Berlin. That was that overnight train I was talking about. And then after Berlin, we moved to Ethiopia. So Addis Ababa right here. I lived there for 5 years, I think 5 years. This is where I met my husband as a teenage girl, cranky teen for the most part. And it was like a puppy love type of thing, which he told me even way back then when we were 15. I'm gonna marry you someday, you're gonna make a great wife. And I was like, yep, sure, go back to school, I'll see you, maybe never. And 20 years or so later, just under 20, maybe 15 or 17 years later, we reunited, reconnected, dated for a bit, and it was like, yeah, we pretty much still love each other. All right, cool, let's just do this. And eventually got back together, got engaged, got married, all within like a couple of years. So that all happened in Boston. So I skipped something. So after Ethiopia, I moved to the US, and my first place was Arlington, Virginia. whenever I think of moving to the US, I only ever think of Arlington. I grew up most of the time after that. I was only there for like a year, and then I went to Maryland. So Silver Spring is where I graduated high school, you know, the last of those formative years, as they call them. And if you know the DMV area, you know that's changed quite a bit. It's grown a ton. It used to be like 3 or 4 buildings, and now it looks like this huge metropolis. It's beautiful. And what, you know, I don't automatically think of here when I think of home. Most of the time I think of Arlington when I think of going home to Maryland. But then my siblings all lived here. So my sister, one of my sisters still lives in Maryland. Sorry, two of my older sisters still live in Maryland. One lives in DC, but this was all kind of like DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, all together. I left from there to go to Florida. So I am missing a sign actually for Tampa, because I lived in Tampa for a good amount of years. I started my junior college there. I spent, 5 years in Tampa. And after Tampa, I moved to Boston, which is what I call my current home. Whenever people ask me, I say I'm from Boston, even though I'm not really from Boston. Obviously, I'm from like everywhere. I wasn't born there, but this is the place where I feel I grew up the most, and I kind of came into my own and developed sort of like my personality more, and who I am and who I want to be, and so on and so forth. So a lot of that I think was formed here, and I really feel like, and that's the place I felt the most at home in the US. Since moving to the US, I felt the most confident there. I felt like I loved the city the most, and I enjoyed the people the most. I don't know, I just felt like I clicked with Boston more than with anywhere else, so I call it home, even though it's not. And of course now I live in Houston, but since I'm in Houston, I didn't put directions to Houston, if that makes sense. So eventually I might have to redo one of these. I don't know. This was a really long explanation. It didn't need to be this long, but hope you enjoyed going down memory lane with me. I looked up a reference for a vintage van. This image came up, and honestly, like, the one that I found the reference from, the turquoise, is really vibrant. Like, it's a really bright one. Obviously I was like, okay, I'm just gonna age this color a little bit and throw some gray in there. But oh my god, if this is not, literally I said, could this van be any more Sandra? Could it though? Could it? I mean, anybody who sees this, if they don't immediately think of me, I don't know. I really want people to literally see turquoise anywhere and think Sandra. That's my sole purpose of this business. It's for everyone to know how much I love turquoise, and to just start tagging me in turquoise things for no reason. This picture. Can I tell you how much I love this picture, this painting? It was so enjoyable to make. I really wish I'd captured it better for the, I don't know, I wanted to like transport you the way it transports me. The only thing missing is like cafe chairs with people sitting and talking in French. Like, I can see this just walking down the street. I feel like I should be walking, instead of living in very, very hot Houston most of the time. These are the kind of places that I love to go get lost in, and they hold so many treasures, just history and memories and things that people have loved and things that people have cared for, that were given to them by like grandparents and stuff like that. I just love being able to browse through antique shops, and I really enjoyed painting this. I think this was my best one of all of them, which is why I put it on the cover, because it's literally my favorite. And I started it, I had to redo it. The first one I did, the ink kept bleeding all over, so I redrew all of this all over with all the lines. It was also the most challenging, but maybe that's why I like it so much. It was so fun to make. Compass, because where you have to know where you're going. I don't really have like a full story or memory of a compass. I just thought it would be cool to have a turquoise compass, and I looked some up, but they looked really modern, so I just found ways to age it, and not make it as shiny and glossy as the reference I had would look. But I just always wanted one. It's one of those things as a kid, I was like, I think it'd be cool to own a compass. And it's like, where are you going that you need a compass? You're not going to the forest, you're not going hiking, like, you don't need this. But I just, since I learned how to say like northeast, southwest, I just felt like I wanted to have one, and it's just one thing I think about when I think about travel, so that made it on the list. And then of course backpacks, because how many times has someone said backpacking through Europe, and I've always thought, why would you backpack through? Just use a suitcase, okay? Just use a suitcase. Get on the train, get off the train, leave it in a hotel, walk around. But you want to have things on you, or you don't, especially if you don't know where you're going to sleep, where you're going to go. You don't want to be bogged down by heavy suitcases, and you get to walk everywhere because Europe is very walkable. And I'm just saying Europe just because that's where I've traveled, but obviously this is for anywhere, right? My dream is also to make it to South America at some point. I've never been. That's the one continent I haven't been yet. Everywhere else, I think, yeah, I've been everywhere else. Well, obviously not Antarctica. It's a little too cold for me. I may not go. And Australia, because I love you guys, but your bugs and your giant spiders, we cannot agree. So I don't think I'll ever make it that way. But yes, backpacks filled with stuff, and I want it to be like worn, and I want it to look like it's lived, it's traveled, it's seen the world. But yeah, I think it came out really, really cool. And then my last one, which at this point in the challenge, I was tired. I'd been drawing 2 different challenges because I had been drawing for 2 different collections. I was also making my memories of movie nights, which I do for Patreon. So I was painting those 5 paintings, and I was painting these 12 concurrently. And I was really running out of juice. I had something for road sign. I think I kind of confused them. Initially, I think I wanted this one to be road sign and this one to be street sign, but well, if you don't watch this video, you won't know that. But once it was done, it was done. I was like, it's okay, I'll still make it like a road sign. I mean, maybe I have them right. You tell me, is it the opposite or is it fine? It doesn't really matter. And I just kind of wanted to have something turquoisey on there. And again, I used like the non-American, you know, whatever, just the speed limit sign, because yeah, I don't know. I think of driving with my dad in Berlin on Sunday afternoons. Like, we went on these drives sometimes just to relax and unwind, and he'd play like Tracy Chapman and Phil Collins, and I even wrote that here. And this is kind of like, it was like our hangout time, you know, and we just drove around a lot. So I love those drives. I really miss those. And yeah, so I just remember looking out the window and just watching the street signs and comparing them to how fast he was going, and debating whether he was going too fast or not. So good times. But yeah, this is where it ends, and I just say thanks for going on this little journey with me. So I've got these available in my shop if you want one. You obviously can go on Amazon and get it. It's in a multitude of Amazon around the world. I forget, it's like different countries also have this. So like in Europe, you might have Germany, UK, Italy, I think, Spain maybe, I don't know. Whatever country you're in, check your Amazon for this title. It might have it. If not, one of those neighboring countries for sure will have it, so that you don't pay outrageous, exorbitant shipping rates from the US, but it won't come with all the fluffiness from me. But if you just want the book, or you just want to order it to have it or to support me, eventually Amazon will send me a portion of the earnings. But it grows my business so much more if you order directly from my shop, not even from Etsy. I haven't put these on Etsy just yet. I would like to try and get everything new that I have in my shop on Etsy for February, so I'll do my best to get that done next week maybe. But I'm gonna stop here, so I'll go back to my face and just close this out, and I'll talk to you really, really soon. Okay, I think I've got this fairly straight. I feel like I'm slightly crooked, but bear with me. So thank you so much if you watched this video, if you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed going on this little memory lane trip with me throughout these memories from my childhood to now, kind of just random all over the place. If you really like, I just want to know what you think of this, because I don't know that I've really seen a lot of this out there much by other people. If you know other artists who paint this kind of thing or this kind of theme or nostalgic stuff, please share them with me, because I am trying to find my people. I'm trying to find more of my people. I'm part of really amazing artist communities that have truly grown my art and grown my love of just creating and have really helped me to learn how to run a small business and things that I need to improve, and how I can go about improving them, just working on things a little bit at a time, just taking my time to hone in my skills. And this coming from people who don't do exactly what I do. So I'm thinking if I can find those people that do the same or that have been doing this for longer, I would learn even faster, I'll grow even more, and that's all I could ask for, right? Just to keep improving. And this is, I feel, a really special gift I think I've gotten from above. So I would like to use it accordingly and not waste it or hide it away or bury it in the sand. So if you know anyone that you think I could appreciate, or if you know someone who is starting on this type of journey, you know, share them. Maybe I can encourage them to keep going and to not be afraid to start and all of that. You know how I am about encouraging others. So I'm gonna stop here because I feel like this will already be longer than I planned, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I will come back next week with more paintings. I'm pretty sure in the next video. Eventually I need to tidy this up and do like a studio tour, but I definitely have in plans to do a little planning video because I am waiting on some custom stickers that are coming from Northern Ireland for me that my friend Nuala from Laguna Munco made. It's my own calligraphy. I sent it to her and she put up the colors for me. My Cricut had been acting up for a while. I'll talk about it in that video because I don't want to overwhelm this video, but I have a planning video coming for you where I'm just going to set up my bullet journal for the year, and I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the goals that I have for this year. Not really goals, but plans and wishes and dreams and massive task lists. We'll see how that goes. I would really love to just kind of do like I did last year, reflect on how 2023 went, what I was able to do, what I wasn't able to do, and out of the wishes and dreams that I had then, which ones did I accomplish and which ones do I still need to work on. And I will just work on them again this year, because most of them were to do with growing either spiritually or in my art or as a mom or as a wife. So they're always good goals to have. So we'll do that coming up soon. And then I've got memories of snow days, which I'm a little bit behind on because I traveled for the end of the year and only got back this weekend. So I'm gonna finish that. I'm gonna do a secret project that I'm gonna show you, and then I'm gonna do memories of New York, which is January on Patreon. So there's so much coming. Please subscribe if you want to see any of that. Leave me a little note, let me know you enjoy this. If you did enjoy it, leave me a little turquoise heart or blue heart and I will love you forever. I'll love you regardless, you know how that goes. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.